This is where the fun begins.
General Kenobi.
Hello everyone and welcome to Jedi Knights episode 51. This is the official Star Wars podcast for JoyClicks. I'm your host, Christian Buckley, joined by my Chewy Mike Connors.
The official podcast.
Official.
Thank you for having me. No, this is fun. We're at episode 51. We're only 15 episodes away from Order 66, right?
Thank you for that.
That's the next milestone that we have to reach.
That is the only milestone as far as I'm concerned. Everything after episode 66 is just a bonus. That's it.
Honestly, yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah.
How are you doing, man? Good?
Doing all right, you know. It's been a light news week for Star Wars. It feels like so much has happened in the last week, just considering like world things and video game world being very big and exciting right now. And Star Wars has been quiet. Star Wars hasn't been on the mind very much. But how are you doing?
I mean, honestly, yeah, I would agree with you. There hasn't been much Star Wars news. But, you know, Star Wars has been sort of on the mind for me recently just because, you know, I don't know. I'm getting hyped for The Mandalorian, dude.
Yeah, you are.
It's about that time.
Mm-hmm. Now, so, I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like it's been so long since the last episode.
Because it probably has been. I mean, or just because like 2020 feels like it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
It's like 6 months. So.
Yeah. So no Mando news this week. Honestly, we should just say this at the top. Apparently, Mando Mondays is not starting until like 27 days from this recording. That was not clear last week, so Mando Mondays is going away for the next few weeks.
Well, I mean, I think it'll be a good compliment to when we actually start watching the show. So
this will be turned into the Mando fan podcast. But today, what we are going to do, of course, is run through some new news about Cassian Andor's series on Disney Plus. A couple tidbits about the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And
this is one of my most favorite news articles probably within the past few weeks, just because I think it's funny.
Yeah. And at the end of it, we're going to rank our definitive top 5 Star Wars video games. But first, as always, we're going to kick the show off how we normally do, pulling from the Jedi Archives, our segment where we read the sacred texts, that is Wikipedia, educate each other in the audience on a piece of lore, whether it's Legends, New EU, current canon, old canon, whatever it is. But Mike, hit me with what you got.
Yeah, so in the sacred Jedi texts here, also known as Wikipedia, I pulled this week Oga's Cantina. Are you familiar with what Oga's Cantina is?
Is that?
Just guess. I'm just.
Is that Dex's place?
No, it's not. That's Dex's Diner. But this is Oga's Cantina. It's the cantina found near Smuggler's Alley in Blackspire Outpost.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm pulling some Blackspire canon into our show here. I haven't been to Blackspire Outpost. Neither yet.
Hopefully.
I haven't been to Batu, Florida, or Batu, California yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, haven't been to either of those. But the reason why I chose this was because obviously this canteen is in Blackspire Outpost, which is on Batu, which is the Disney planet for Galaxy's Edge. But apparently, isn't it though? It is it's the Disney Galaxy's Edge planet. But so there is an appearance of Batu in the Thrawn Alliance's novel, and this is not really spoiling anything, but at some point Padme Amidala goes to Batu for a reason and ends up, one of the first places that she goes to is a cantina, and I believe that she lands in Blackspire. So I would assume, though I don't think it's confirmed, that the cantinas are the same, but it's just kind of cool and something that I wanted to bring up.
Now, Mike, I've seen pictures of this cantina on the HoloNet. It looks like a grand old time. Now I'm wondering if we're onto something. I think when/if we end up getting to go to Galaxy's Edge, we should try to order off what I'm assuming is a secret menu and say, "Give me Padme's drink."
I hope that's a thing.
Right?
I'm like wondering now. I wonder if like if some at some point in the book like she orders a specific drink. I
Yeah.
don't know. I forget.
Give me an
I
Amidala.
I think she might, but I don't know. That
Yeah.
would be really cool though.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Um, well, thank you. That was very interesting. I know more about Black Spire and canon now than I did before.
There you go. What's yours?
So mine, I meant to look up one thing, and then I saw this in the auto search. Like I
Oh.
started typing in a word, and then I was like, the what now? The
So it was like a oh
oh,
sorry. Go for it. What is it?
the Kyber royal family.
Excuse me?
The Kyber royal family was the ruling family of the planet Troska, which directly controlled the planet's fuel refineries. In the time of the Galactic Empire, it only grudgingly supported the Imperial garrison and frequently protested Imperial taxation on its fuel revenues. Members of the family include King Natas Kyber and his son, Prince Torino. They are a human family, consisting of those two members that I just said on the planet of Troska. The only appearance is in Boba Fett Overkill, which looks like it was a Dark Horse comic released in 2006. So this is Legends material.
Yeah, not canon.
Mm-hmm. But that's all
This
there
is
is.
no, yeah. This is pretty interesting. I'm curious to what you were looking up originally.
I was gonna just look up kyber crystals because I was gonna be like,
Oh.
you know what? Let's get some education about kyber crystals.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But Kyber royal family. I wonder if like, see, okay, so in Legends, I'm pretty sure Kyber that was an existing thing. That's not new to the Star Wars canon,
Right.
as I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there is some sort of connection. This Wikipedia article is sort of thin, so it doesn't really say whether there's a connection between them and Kyber. I would maybe that's the planet's fuel. That would seem a little convenient, but
That's what I assumed, since like if the Kyber royal family is in charge of the fuel of this planet, and then the Empire seeks out, I think this was the new canon. It was confirmed that the Death Star uses a giant Kyber crystal, but like Jedi lightsabers powered by Kyber, so like I would assume that's the resource. I would guess that's what it is.
probably. I always wanted to. This is like something that I feel like I should put on my list of like things that I want to read. Just like a random comic about Boba Fett. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for the Jedi Archives for this week. As always, we'll continue that next week with 2 more polls. But Mike, let's talk about Disney Plus, because it wouldn't be an episode of this show if we didn't have something to discuss about the Disney Plus Star Wars content. It is not Mando this week, but we do have yet another update about Cassian Andor and who will be directing. Now, earlier this year, at the start of COVID, we talked about how Tony Gilroy was going to be directing episodes of Cassian Andor, and we weren't sure when it was going to go into production, or like how or what. And I know I've repeated this multiple times, but The Falcon and the Winter Soldier finally actually started shooting again for real this time.
Okay, well there you go. That's promising for other projects.
Yeah. So I think I don't know how much you can judge off of that. I heard rumors that Loki should be shooting sometime in the spring. So like new projects are going into production, right? So I don't think we learn anything about that from this new casting info, but we do know a bit more about the talent, and specifically that the show is still being impacted by COVID, because Deadline has been reporting that Tony Gilroy is handing off the director responsibilities due to travel restrictions from COVID-19, and he will be passing it on to one Toby Haynes. Now, Toby Haynes, Mike, is an Emmy Award-winning director who directed the episode of Black Mirror titled USS Callister.
Oh, interesting. Is that's the Star Trek one? Yeah.
Yes, that is the Star Trek one with the character from Breaking Bad.
Yep.
I forget his name, but that one.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Now,
whatever his name is, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't watched much Black Mirror, but Have you?
A fair amount of it. There are
Mhm.
people who probably watch more than me, but yeah,
Have
I've
you
seen
se-
this episode.
You've seen?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you feel um knowing that the person who is responsible for quote unquote like reportedly fixing Rogue One, who was tied onto this project, is leaving for someone who you've also seen? Because I know you're a fan of Rogue One. I don't know how you feel about this episode. Like the fact that the person responsible for you enjoying Rogue One is leaving for this person to fill in, like based on your experience with both pieces of media, where's your head at?
I think where my head is at is that it doesn't say that Tony Gilroy is not going to be, he's not going to be involved in the show at all. I think that he's still. I'm reading an article from Gizmodo that says that he's still going to be like the showrunner and
Mm-hmm.
the executive producer. So, I mean, his influence is still going to be there. I think this is more of just like, what is the show going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's going to be on. I don't want to say the screen, the TV screen, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, I mean,
the old iPhone screen.
yeah, right. Like so. I mean, I'm not super concerned about it personally, just because if Tony Gilroy is still actually going to be like involved in the show. Obviously, he has. I don't want to say he has a vision for it, but I mean, he kind of changed Rogue One into what it is, and something that I really enjoy. I've enjoyed the character of Cassian, which I'm sure he had a hand in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I like the episode, the USS Callister episode. I think it's like that must be the only thing I've ever seen of Toby Haynes, though.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily have that much of a like. I don't know his repertoire.
Yeah, I'm pulling up his IMDb just to see if there's anything else, but I think you nailed a lot of the points where, like, yes, Tony Gilroy has been attached to this project since we talked about it in, like, March.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and presumably even before that, right? Like, his influence is still going to be felt on, like, a grassroots level, but, like you said, more on screen. That's where Toby Haynes is going to be coming to play. Now,
it just makes it like. I mean, I think it may actually benefit the show because like we're used to like Rogue One and like Tony Gilroy's influence. Like, so I don't know, handing it over to somebody else, I think is actually it might be a benefit.
yeah, so it looks like other notable television he has worked on in terms of like big fandom shows. He did an episode of Sherlock, the Benedict Cumberbatch show.
Yeah.
He did the Reichenbach Fall. I think that's the episode. I don't know if you've seen Sherlock, but I think that was the episode where they're like turning the whole town over to try and find Moriarty. I think
I've never seen Sherlock, so
I've only seen the first couple seasons, but it's pretty good. Also looks like he has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes of Doctor Who. The rebooted Doctor Who. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like he's definitely got like the directorial acumen for it, right?
Mhm.
Like he has the experience. Like, obviously, he seems interested in this sort of like genre. The USS Callister episode is like pretty good.
Yeah, it's basically Star Trek, right?
It's totally just. Have you seen it? Or
I had to watch like half of it for class, but yes, I've seen parts of it.
it's basically Star Trek, and like he does it. It's obvious that like he's at least a Star Trek fan. So like I mean he's a science fiction fan. So I'm always down for new blood taking over these sort of things. So
For sure. So
yeah, I mean, for you? I guess like what are your thoughts on it? Are are you excited for him, or are you kind of just like lukewarm about it?
I mean, I think I'm as excited as I was before, because like I don't think Rogue One is amazing. I think it's an enjoyable Star Wars movie. It definitely stands apart from other Star Wars movies. I'll give it that. And I like Cassian a lot. I like K2 a lot. I like that third act a whole lot. There's a lot I do like about Rogue One, despite being kind of down on it on our review of it for the show.
Yeah,
I still think it's really good though. But yeah, I think Tony Gilroy going on to be a showrunner, taking care of, I guess, the writing or like having an influence over the general story and plot. I think that's fine. I'm fine getting new blood in, like you said. Based on what I've seen from this man, I think his work is all right. You know, I think he can direct fine. You know, and if it's at least fine, I think that's good. So
Yeah, there you go. And then back to your original point too. It's good. It's good that we're getting news about this, right? So, um,
yeah,
it shows that they're still working on it.
Also, I'm reading through the recap on Star Wars Newsnet about this as well, and it looks like there's a report that shooting for this begins next month.
Oh wow. Okay.
So maybe we don't have to wait too long, dude. If this hits in the summer next year,
I mean, that it's possible. I wonder where they shoot this, because like Tony Gilroy can't direct the show because of travel related issues.
Yeah.
I wonder because they filmed the movies in England, but like this I'm sure they just will do on like the same sound stage that they do for the Mandalorian, right? Like
potentially, like I think that soundstage is in LA.
yeah,
but
okay.
it sounds like based on like I think Tony Gilroy is based in Los Angeles. Now, considering that this man did a lot of British television, like Black Mirror is UK, Sherlock, Doctor Who, all UK programming, I would assume that they're probably shooting this in the UK. So, and
Yeah.
like if he just can't get over there, maybe that's an issue. But I'm also wondering too, like the actors.
Yeah, I guess.
How does that work? Is Diego Luna just chilling in London right now?
I don't know. It's just like I don't know. I guess we don't actually know where they shoot this, but
So, but that's our update on Cassian. I doubt we hear much from it the rest of this year. Maybe we just get like an on-set picture on Diego Luna's Instagram at some point or something.
yeah, I'm sure we'll get some piecemeal, I guess.
Let me see my boy K2SO. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's what I want to.
Now, that wraps the Disney Plus news, and that wraps the future news. But Mike, we're going back to the past right now.
Back to the past.
Back to the past. I wanted to see if I could make a Back to the Future joke, but I couldn't.
Yeah. We're going like George Lucas style. Instead of going forward in the timeline, we're taking it back. We're going to the prequels.
That was much better. I wonder what happens when the clocks turn over to the year 2000, because right now we got news about the Phantom Menace. Now,
Who knew?
Yeah, there was a quote last week from Liam Neeson, which it was very general, but basically he was being interviewed and somebody asked him like, "Hey, that Star Wars you did, you regret that?" And he was like, nothing but positive about the experience, really. He was like glowing about how much fun he had making a Phantom Menace.
Like, honestly, you were a Jedi master. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like how could you hate that?
Yeah, and like from the fan perspective, you could see it as like, oh yeah, there's a lot of the fans that like the actors who starred in a Star Wars film were either loved or hated by the fans, and then that impacted their whole career. Liam Neeson might have had the right idea where he just got in and out in episode 1, you know?
Yeah, he just got to like be a Jedi for a movie and die.
Yeah.
So he really got the best out of everybody.
Yeah, so surprising to hear, cool to hear, you know? I feel like this was a good year for Qui-Gon Jinn on this podcast, you know?
It was a good year for Qui-Gon Jinn. I honestly think, as an actor, like think about it, like now he's just like forever immortalized in this fictional world. That's what you want, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So it is very cool to see that all these years later, the toxicity of Star Wars hasn't impacted how Liam Neeson feels. Because, I don't know if it's just our generation, but I feel like a lot of people in recent years have been like coming around. I know we've all loved Revenge of the Sith forever, but like I feel like I've been seeing more people be like, you know what, Phantom Menace is just okay.
Yeah, I think people have been coming around. I think it's like I don't know if it's like my own bubble because like this was like a big movie for me as a kid, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of nostalgia behind it. So for me personally, like I enjoy the Phantom Menace just because of that nostalgia aspect. But yeah, it does seem like more people, even those who like maybe disliked it when it came out, have been coming around to it. But I don't know. I think it's a good movie. I don't know.
I love how it looks. No
Me
other
too.
Star Wars movie looks like that, and I really think there's a lot of like beautiful shots in that movie.
Yeah, I think so too. And honestly, I really enjoy how it was like all practical effects and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of this really interesting transition point, right? Where it was the first attempt at it. It's like, yeah, Jar Jar was just all CG, you know, like Ahmed Best was on set for reference, but like that's a fully CG character, and like the battle droids, there were references, but like you're saying, like there's still instances where like the ships were models, right? Like there's still
Yeah.
that transition between the hyper fixated on CG aspect of episodes 2 and 3 and the fully practical sun blue screen of the originals, where it falls in an interesting place. It was also shot on film, you know? We haven't talked
Yeah.
about that in a long time, but man, I love that.
No, I agree with you. Honestly, I think that it's like really it's a well done execution, very perfect combination of practical and CG, especially for that time. It
Mhm.
holds up. It still holds up today.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah. The other one, you sent this to me
Yeah.
about like 2 hours ago. So there's an interview with Keira Knightley,
hmm
and essentially she thought that she played Padme in the prequels.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So I sent Christian this article. It's a Screen Rant article, but apparently it was during an interview with Coming Soon. I don't know what that is, but she said she apparently she said, quote, "Who did I play? Was I not Padme?" And the interviewer said, "No, you were her handmaiden Sabe." And she said, "Oh, I was Sabe? Okay. Do you know, I saw the film once. I think I was 12 when I did it, and I saw it the year after, and I've never seen it again. So I played Sabe, and she didn't die? Okay." Laughing. "I hope she lived a long and happy life somewhere on a planet far, far away." That's what she said.
Now, I think it's interesting also because the interviewer asks, has there been talks of reprising the role? And she says, reprising the character I can't even remember the name of? No, there hasn't.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But interesting. She says, okay, so she says, "So I hope she lived a long and happy life somewhere on a planet far, far away." And I read Queen's Peril. No, was it Queen's Peril?
Queen's Shadow, I think.
Queen's Shadow. Yeah, Queen's Peril is the second one.
Mm-hmm.
In Queen's Shadow, it takes place after episode 1, and it also basically like is part of the book. Like the first half of the book is sort of split in between like Sabe and Padme from like both of their point of views almost.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Sabe goes on like a bunch of missions for Padme and stuff, and she lives like a considerable amount of time on Tatooine with one of the bodyguards, one of the like handmaiden bodyguards. So yeah, interesting stuff. She did, I guess, live a happy life on Tatooine.
Mike, you know what's interesting? I wanted to fact check this to make sure. Sabe was also, I believe, in that new Darth Vader comic, where he, like that panel was like Padme, and then that was like the end of the comic. So maybe she does reprise her role if we get a Darth Vader Disney Plus series adapting this arc of the comic.
It's so funny because like how much you would have bet Keira Knightley has no idea that her likeness is being used in this Darth Vader comic. Like she has no idea that like the character Sabe is like, I don't know, like they expanded on that character at all. Like she probably doesn't know.
And like what's funny about it, I think, is the fact that Sabe, like I can see why she'd get confused, because Sabe was in the majority of episode 1 standing in place as Amidala.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you think this might have been an instance of on set Lucas took like a "I'm your father" approach, where like they didn't tell her that she was actually not Padme?
I don't think so.
He
I
just
think
lied to her the whole time.
I think Keira Knightley's just, she's moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
Than her. She was basically just playing Natalie Portman 2.0.
Yeah, she was busy starring in the what I think ended up becoming one of the highest grossing movie of all time for a period, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was a pretty focal character.
Yeah, she was like one of the main three. So
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I forgot as well that she was super young when she filmed this.
Yeah, her and Natalie Portman were both like children. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, funny story. I did not think we'd be talking about new tidbits about the Phantom Menace this month.
Yeah. Thank you, Kira.
2 within 2 weeks. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, do you think we get another one next week, or do we move on to Attack of the Clones information next week?
That's what I want. I want like a tell-all book written by Ahmed Best. No, I'm just kidding. Or Hayden Christensen. That's what I want.
That'd be very cool. But that runs through all the news for the week. Like I said, very light news week. So what we're gonna do now, it's gonna be a little loosey-goosey. We're gonna list up our top 5. Probably, you know what? No, not in any order, but our definitive top 5 Star Wars video games.
Yep, that's right.
Now
we were talking about this earlier, and we were like, yeah, there are some of them that are just locked.
Yeah.
But what were you saying? Sorry.
I was gonna say I'm gonna type this note up, just to keep track of everything. Now, if we want to start with the obvious one, which KOTOR do you prefer? Because I've only played a little bit of 2, so I can't really speak to KOTOR at all.
I can't really speak to 2. I can only speak to KOTOR.
Okay.
So,
but you've beaten KOTOR 1.
Yeah. I just haven't beaten KOTOR 2.
Okay. I have not played all of KOTOR 2. I played a little bit of it. I think the writing is pretty good, but the gameplay was not enough to keep me hooked in. So if you think KOTOR gameplay choice, story-wise, it's all there, I'm down to put it on this list. Because I know everybody loves KOTOR.
Yeah, I think we should put it on the list. Just because of its like, it kind of has transcended, and it's kind of has like this legendary status that personally I think it deserves.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's one that I would love to play. I want to give one a shot because I think Revan's a cool looking character. I think that story is very interesting. It's a period of time I haven't exposed myself to a ton. I played a bit of the Old Republic. I would not put the Old Republic on this list, but
no, I think you should definitely give it a shot. And honestly, if we were going to put 2 on the list, I feel like that would be disrespectful to number 1.
Sure, I think that's a fair point. Because like,
yeah,
KOTOR 1, as someone who hasn't played it, I feel like is iconic. I've seen memes from that game, of like the droid that like kills everybody and stuff like that. Like, I've seen stuff from that game, and I know stuff about that story as a casual Old Republic fan, where I never hear people talk about KOTOR 2 except for people saying how dark it can be. Right.
I mean, KOTOR 1, like, I don't know because I wasn't around at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wasn't. It was 2003, so I was kind of like young, so it wasn't really meant for me. But it seems like it would have a huge impact for the time. I mean, I don't know. It's such a big story. It's such a big game. Like, there's so much in it. It could take you like 40, 50 hours to finish it. Like, if you really put a lot of effort into it and like wanted to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just like something. It does a really good job at like the storyline is super super compelling. It's also really well told. It doesn't ever feel like it's lagging in any way. The pacing is pretty good. Like, I don't know. It's just a big game and deserves its spot.
Mm-hmm. And despite having not played KOTOR 1, again, massive respect to it because it's BioWare, and I think this game undoubtedly led to Mass Effect. I think you cannot say that any other way, that Mass Effect would exist if KOTOR didn't. So, like, I give it respect on that level.
Well, yeah, dude, like, not even BioWare. Like, I look at something like Fallout, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see Knights of the Old Republic influence.
Like Fallout 3 specifically?
Like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, like I
Yeah.
look at that kind of game, and like I see the influences. I see like where they got some of their ideas from, and it's KOTOR. Because it's like the first RP. I don't want to say that, but like it's just like the most
It's influential.
It's influential. It's a very good example of like a modern RPG.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legendary game.
You put this idea in my head a couple weeks ago. I would love a remake of this.
Oh, I think it. I don't know why they haven't done it already. I've been saying this for a long time. I think it would make a lot of money.
Yeah, it would.
It would make so much money, dude.
You know what? I would even take, because listen, I'm not one of these dorks that loves PC gaming, all right? But I would love if they kept up that trend of bringing older Star Wars games to like the Switch and then eventually putting them on Xbox and PS4. Like, if you could put KOTOR on the Switch, whew, I would play through that game in an instant.
You can like you can play KOTOR on your iPhone, dude. Like,
yeah.
And it's like good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they haven't put it on the Switch already, to be honest. But
yeah, because they were.
It's one of those things that I think that they should remaster. But continue, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were kind of on a roll with doing those. Like they got a handful of Star Wars games remastered from like the 3D Star Wars games, and then the last one was Episode 1 Racer. That was earlier this year, and then they haven't said anything else yet. So maybe there's a new batch coming. Maybe KOTOR's in that, but we will have to wait and see. So we addressed the fan favorite, right? But I think there's an elephant in this room that needs to be on this list in some way, shape, or form. Which Lego Star Wars game are we putting on this list?
Well, I don't know. I feel like we'd have to put the complete saga on there, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think that should be the one, but I owned them separately. I never owned the complete saga. I just had the original prequel one, Lego Star Wars 1, when that launched on the PS2. And I remember the day Lego Star Wars 2 came out, my mom picked me and my brother up from elementary school, and that was in the front seat of the car to show it to us. She was like, look what you can play now. And I was like, ah! So,
nice.
like, I think Complete Saga works because now we get the best of both, right?
And, like, I believe when I was a kid, I had them separately as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever had the complete saga, but I did buy it on Steam for like $4 when it was on sale.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like played it a bit. It's just the two games mashed together.
Yeah, didn't they added a couple characters, right?
Yeah, they added a couple characters. I think they added like a few different like bonus rooms and stuff. I don't know, like stuff that doesn't actually change the fundamental game. Mm-hmm. As I understand it, I mean, they came out like each year, one after another, I believe. Mm-hmm. So it seems like they're all similar together. I would say if we're going to put any of them on this list, it would be the complete saga, just because it has the full package.
I agree. Like, both of those games are so good that like if there's the one option to get all of them, it's that one, you know.
Yeah, I assume I pray to whatever Star Wars gods there are that the what is it, the complete saga or something?
Skywalker
like
saga.
The Skywalker saga. I hope that blows it out of the water, and I hope, I don't want to say it, but I think it might.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful about that. Now, there's a lot of avenues we can go next.
Yeah, there are.
I think there's one more big one.
Okay.
Which Battlefront?
Yeah, this is the question, right?
Because we got 4 console and PC ones to pull from. We got a couple handheld ones. Like, when I say Battlefront, which one immediately comes to your mind?
Battlefront 2, the original one.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think Because listen, when I hear Battlefront, I think of that as well. But do you think where we've come with Battlefront 2, do you think, Mike, we're picking the 5 definitive Star Wars games. Do you think that our beloved experience with the classic Battlefront 2 is enough to keep it on this list in this pantheon of greats when the complete 3 trilogy version of Star Wars Battlefront exists, looking and sounding and being as fun looking and sounding as good as it is and being as fun as it is?
I would say that, and I feel like I know your answer to this, the newer Battlefront 2 is probably what we should put on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's far more complete.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to be that guy that's like, it's newer, it looks better, but it does. And like, I would say that like it's just more complete of an experience than the other older Battlefront 2. Not knocking the older Battlefront 2. That's like one of my all-time favorite games, just because like of the amount of time that I put playing into that, like when I was a kid.
Right.
But like you said, in this pantheon of greats, there's to me only one choice, and that is the newer Battlefront 2. I stand that game. I know you stand that game as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if it's gonna be one, I think it's probably the new one, because listen, I know Battlefront 2 Classic is amazing. It's fantastic. It's a great game.
Of course.
But if we're getting core experience, like I get excited sometimes when I play Battlefront 2. You know, if I played the classic Battlefront 2 in the year 2020, I'm sure I'd have a fun time, but I wouldn't be like, man, this is Star Wars. It'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, killed you, you know? It did heroes, villains, and on Mos Eisley. Like, I think it's just like you said, it's a more complete experience. I think it's also a more fulfilling experience as a Star Wars fan.
Definitely. I think it's very easy to get transported into the world, right? Into the Star Wars world when you're playing the newer Battlefront 2. It just looks so good. Like, it just sounds so good. Like, there's so many like ways you could play it. Like, everything about it is just like perfect, honestly. I'm an unapologetic stan of this game. So yeah, I would have to say that this would make it into the top 5. Unfortunately, to the original Battlefront 2, that's not a knock on it at all. It's just the newer Battlefront 2 is just a better game. Yeah,
there's things I wish Battlefront 2 did from the original, but the fact that current Battlefront 2 doesn't have a mode where I can be on a command ship, hop in a ship, fly to the other command ship, would be great if that was in there. That would make the game even better. But like, that not being in there and being in Battlefront 2 Classic is not enough for me to say Classic is far and away the definitive Battlefront, you know?
Yeah, it's a great game. Like, totally. I used to play that, like, I'm sure you did too. I'm sure everybody did. But like that exact mode where you had to like 2 capital ships, I would just go and blow up the other one. Like, like that's what I would do every time. I play that game, dude.
Yeah, me and my brother used to do co-op, each on a ship. It's like, okay, whose ship's going down first? It's a really fun game. Again, like KOTOR, would love to see that on the Switch. I feel like that'd be a cool multiplayer game for that console. But for our list, the Battlefront rep goes to 2017.
Yeah, knock on wood. Oh.
Yeah. Now, this is where it opens up a little more, because we got 2 slots open.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other genres we can pull from. There's like the weird spin-offs. There's the flight sim games, like Rogue Squadron. There's a lot of action games. We don't really have a Jedi game yet. I know KOTOR is more of an RPG with some weird non-active combat, but like, there's the Jedi Knight games, the Force Unleashed.
I know. Now, here's the second elephant in the room. We have a big room. I guess there are 2 elephants.
Yeah.
Do we put Fallen Order on this list?
I could hear a point. I could hear a case. You know, because the thing is, I don't think Force Unleashed would get on the list before Fallen Order did, because Fallen Order is like what I kind of wish Force Unleashed would be. Like,
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah,
and
I mean, I think yeah, I don't know, it's tough.
Yeah, because
continue.
My issues with Fallen Order, like Fallen Order's combat is really good. It could be great. I feel like they just have to tweak it a little more for the sequel to like get it really close to being like Sekiro and being really like as snappy as a From Software game. Because if you're going for that style, like it's a very high bar, and I wish they could hit it. And I feel like there's potential for them to. That aside, it's still a fun adventure, right? I think it's like I like Fallen Order probably as much, I like Fallen Order in the same way that I like A New Hope, where it's definitely not my favorite. It's still fun, you know. There's things that I think are kind of bad about it, but like it's still a great time. Like at the end of the day, the things I don't like about it are the things that I think they really need to improve. In both cases, don't make it not really good, you know.
Yeah, I guess like I hesitate to put it on the list because it just feels too new, you know. Like
sure.
It feels like it hasn't been able to like sit and like, I don't want to use the word marinate, but like sit there and like actually, I don't know, I haven't been able to digest it over time as I have like these other games. Sure. And I guess like I wouldn't feel comfortable putting on a list and being like, yep, this is like top 5 of all time, because it's been like less than a year that it's been out.
Mike.
Yeah, no, just what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say I was thinking about this game recently. I kind of want to replay it.
Yeah, I want to replay it too. I think the story was great. I think it's definitely up there as one of the best Star Wars games ever. But like, I don't know if I'm like comfortable yet putting it on the list as like it's a top 5 game of all time.
Sure.
I don't know.
If you would
probably, but I don't know.
If you would like to, for now, we can put a pin in it and we can come back to this. Because there's a couple other games I feel like we could throw in there as potentials. And if we're not feeling those, then I think we could both agree on having Fallen Order be in here.
Well, yeah, we don't have to come up with a decision at the moment. So.
Sure. Let's talk about Force Unleashed a little bit. If it's either of them, it's the first one, I think.
Yeah, in a competition between Fallen Order and The Force Unleashed, I would choose Fallen Order for sure. I just think you said it best. Fallen Order is what I wish The Force Unleashed was. I feel like The Force Unleashed, it's a little bit like just button mashing in a way.
Like it's like God of War, right? Like
I'm not familiar with God of War personally.
It's like it's an action game. It's a lot of spammy attacks. It's a lot of mashing, like you said. And Force Unleashed, I think at the time, justified being as ridiculous as it was.
Yeah.
But I think there's more of an expectation now in Star Wars to be like, hey, show some restraint. Like, be meaningful with it, you know? Like, Force Unleashed, as cool as like, that's the perfect trailer, I think, right? Like, that's such a cool thing to do. It's like, this guy's tearing a Star Destroyer out of the sky with the Force. Like, that works in 2006. I don't think that works in 2020.
It doesn't, but, like, it doesn't make it not awesome.
No, yeah, I think in the talk of the best, though, I feel like that brings it down a few pegs, you know?
I agree. I think it was good for its time.
Yeah.
It fit in at the time. It's great. Like, it's fun still. I actually have it downloaded on my PC, and I had played it recently, and it's still fun. But, like, yeah. Jedi Fallen Order, I think, was just a little bit more deliberate with like the gameplay. It was a bit more serious with the story, and I think it's just a better game. So yeah. I'd have to choose it over The Force Unleashed. So yeah, between those two, that's my choice.
Okay. Now, considering we're comparing, right, the Jedi action game right now, we're seeing how Fallen Order stands up to your point of like, it maybe is it too recent. We compared it to Force Unleashed. Fallen Order wins there.
Yeah.
Now, do you have experience with the Jedi Knight games? Because I feel like that's the other big tentpole for a Jedi action game that Fallen Order would have to beat to make it on here.
So you're talking about
like Katarn, those games.
Yeah, you're talking about those games. I think, I don't know, man. Fallen Order, like, it's just like, it's hard to do these because Fallen Order is so much newer, right? Mm-hmm. And like, it's just so much like, it is just better because it's newer.
Yeah, like, I think video games are interesting compared to movies where there's so much of the quality is tied to the technology. And if you're trying to go for a grand scale, maybe not necessarily realism, but like very detailed, that will make you age horribly. You know, like, I think any generation probably before this current one, if you're going for realism, that's automatic nail in the coffin. It's like, okay, this game has an expiration date. And I think in terms of that, I think it's completely fine that Fallen Order is newer and better for that reason, right?
Yeah.
So
I think so. It's tough because, like, you're right. So much of like video games success and so much of like the way that we perceive video games is like, you know, tied to the technology at the time. But I don't know. Like I said, like before, nostalgia has like a big factor on these things for me,
especially with Star Wars, I think.
Right. So I think, you know, there are some cases where some games that are older are going to score higher than the newer games, and I think that there are some Jedi Knight games that I actually may enjoy, or may just like look back on fonder than Fallen Order. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just because of the time difference. Maybe it's just that I've had more time to let it sit and marinate. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. For me, I only played one of the Jedi Knight games. I really played Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast.
Okay.
For some reason, like, I don't know why I didn't play the first one. I just played the second one. But I played it a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that happens when you're kids, right? So you just stumble across a game. It's like, oh, this is the one I'm going to spend 500 hours in.
Yeah, literally.
So I haven't played any of the Jedi Knight games, but if you think your experience with that one is good enough, I would believe you, because I know people like them.
I mean, I don't know, though. I don't know. It's been so long. It's been so long since I played it that it's hard for me to say that, like, it's one of the top 5. But,
let me add, I've seen part of that game. It's grody. It is grody. And like,
oh, I know. It is. It's disgusting.
And like, the way you move the character seems a little weird, or just from like the way I've seen it. Like, it just seems like it doesn't feel right. I don't know if that's
It doesn't. But it's an old game. Like, that's the thing.
Sure.
It's hard to like come up with this, because I remember playing this game and there was like a mode where you could just like have like a bunch of CPUs basically, and they're all, or NPCs, and they're all like just Jedi and everything, and you could just like go out and just like fight them in this like 15-minute like battle, and I would just do that over and over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel good. Like thinking back on it, it doesn't feel like what you'd expect it to, but it's still that nostalgia, man. I don't know. I think if I were to create a list of 5, this might, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast might be on it for me personally.
Okay.
But I want to preface that with saying that it's been a very long time since I played that game. I'm just thinking like back to the roots here.
Sure. Now, is that the one that had multiplayer included in it? Because I know there was like there were some Jedi Knight games that came out on the Switch recently, and one of them had multiplayer.
Yeah, I believe that one had multiplayer.
Okay. Now, if I was in your room right now and I had 2 consoles with 2 different games on, they could play it flawlessly. If I said, Mike, right now, you could play Jedi Fallen Order, or you could play Jedi Outcast. Which one would you be drawn to?
I'd choose Jedi Fallen Order. That's the thing. I'm going back and forth. Like, Jedi Fallen Order is a great game. It's really hard. It's really hard to come up with this list, Christian.
No, but I mean, like, I think we're having a really good
No, we are.
evaluation of everything, right? Because I think without question, the best lightsaber combat I've ever experienced is Fallen Order, even if I feel like the type of combat it's doing isn't the best among its classmates, right? Because again, I'm the snob that's comparing it to From Software, but like if you're gonna go for that, go for it. But with that in mind, I still think that is like the best feeling lightsaber combat I've ever experienced.
It really is, and like thinking back on the lightsaber combat for Jedi Outcast, it's just like it's whack. It's so whack, like in comparison to Fallen Order. I don't know, like rethinking it in my head, this is just like really fast decisions. I don't know. Maybe I've come full 180 on this. Maybe just within the past like 10 minutes, maybe I would put Fallen Order on the list. I don't know.
What if I told you I typed it out on the list right now? Because listen, I can guarantee you, I know for a fact, Jedi Outcast does not have BD1.
Jedi Outcast does not have BD1, but you know what Jedi Outcast has that Jedi Fallen Order does not?
What?
Kyle Katarn. But yeah, I think putting Fallen Order on the list is fair and warranted.
Yeah. Like, I don't think listeners or viewers would question that choice, right? Because, like, Fallen Order, I feel like, amongst the Star Wars community was mostly, overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, it took me a while to get there. I just wanted to consider all the other options, I guess.
Oh, sure. And I'm glad that's... If we're goating these games to be the best, the 5 definitive Star Wars games, they deserve to fight their way in. They don't get in easy, you know?
Right.
Now, go ahead.
I was going to ask you 2 questions, Rit. Two questions. Did you ever play Rogue Squadron? Any of the Rogue Squadron games?
So the initial Rogue Squadron was the GameCube game, right?
I'm looking at a list of Star Wars video games on Wikipedia. It says that it was originally released on 1998 on Windows and the Nintendo 64. And then it was released, there were 2 others, 2 and 3, Rogue Leader and Rebel Strike, released in 2001 and 2003.
Okay, I haven't played those.
Okay, I haven't played those either.
Okay.
See, this is like, I'm not, I haven't played those. I also personally haven't played that clone game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Republic Commando?
Republic Commando, yes.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of Republic Commando. Like, I haven't played it, but it seems like a cool game that I'd like to play eventually. But, again, it's not a standout to me, right? Because if we're doing definitive, I feel like there's a certain energy it would have, and I feel like the games that have that energy are games that you and I would have played.
No, right. I think you're right. I just know that that's a popular one. People
Yeah. Again, if we're talking remakes, we've already thrown this possibility out there. Bad Batch, Republic Commando game.
That's what I'm saying.
Man, if they made a Bad Batch game, I can guarantee you they'd have to try to have me not put it on this list. Like,
they'd have to try hard.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a conversation to be had about some of the flight games. You know, like this Jedi Starfighter. I owned that one. I played it a little bit. Didn't super grab me.
I also owned that one. It didn't grab me either, but I remember playing it.
Sure. There were some fun spin-offs. There's Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which has always held a good place in my heart. I played it. I did a stream of it on Star Wars Day this year. Game aged horribly.
Okay.
Much to my dismay. But yeah, what about like the other PS2 era? Because there's that Episode 3 game.
The Episode 3 game, actually, I played a lot of that.
Me too. Yeah, man, that like the multiplayer mode they had in there too. That alternate ending.
The alternate ending is insane. That's come up. That's like a Jedi Knights podcast. Like, if we had our own canon, that would be part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember. Is this the game that also had like you could? It had like versus mode. Like,
yeah, there was like a multiplayer arena combat mode. I played that with my brother all the time.
Yeah, this game like underrated, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So to give a good shout out, my friend Omar, I think last week, on his Twitch channel, he streamed his first full playthrough of this game, and I kept telling him, I was like, dude, there's an alternate ending, you gotta get it. And I think he got it, but
Good.
yeah, like seeing that game again, like I doubt it is like something incredible today, right? But it looked like it was still kind of fun. He struggled in some of those boss fights, so like maybe it's like a weird thing of, as kids, you know, we thought it was this excellent game, but in reality it's just like a broken, buggy game full of like bad boss fights. But I think that's in contention.
Honestly, man, I think it might be in contention too. It's definitely now one of like those bad, buggy games, but it doesn't change the fact that I played the crap out of it.
Yeah. Do you see any others on the list you're looking at that stand out to you?
Others on the list that stand out to me, not necessarily something that I would think would make it on the list.
Let's hear some of them.
Yeah, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. That's a fun one. I played that. I had it for the Game Boy, I think.
Nice.
And it was such a watered down version of like the regular one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's one. It's nothing really, so I don't think we would want to put it on the list.
Yeah, in similar comparison, because I didn't really play Racer. There was like a Boys and Girls Club I went to a couple times, and they had it there, so that was like a fun thing. But I would put these alongside each other. Star Wars Demolition. It's basically Twisted Metal on Tatooine with all the bounty hunters. Like,
okay.
I wish it was better than it is, because I think it's a really cool concept, but yeah, it's not great.
No.
Similarly, God, there was another one I was about to bring up. I'm blanking on it, but like Terrace Kasi like exists. The Phantom Menace game exists. Like, those are
I played the Phantom Menace game. My uncle had like a original PlayStation, so I remember playing that one with him.
Yeah, I had that.
But like, I never played Shadows of the Empire. I never played Masters of Terrace Kasi. I think those are just a bit too not in my
Terrace
time.
Kasi's bad. I played that on my cousin's PlayStation. It was not good.
Really? Okay. Yeah, those seem like kind of out of my time. Like, yeah, I'm looking at the list. Like, Masters of Terrace Kasi came out in '97. I was born that year.
Same.
Like,
yeah.
So, like, but yeah, I would say, you know, I don't want to be the one to do it, but barring we put Angry Birds Star Wars on the list, I'd say that we should put the Episode 3 game.
I'm not opposed, because I have one last thing I think we should bring up.
Oh, yeah.
There is the Old Republic and there is Star Wars Galaxies. I tried playing both of those this year. Star Wars Galaxies was a miserable experience.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because the thing is, it's like a dead game. So like I had to find a copy of the game, install it on my PC, try to find the fan server for it, go through all these different things, download a launcher. This is why I hate PC gaming. Like,
so it was just a process for you.
It was a hassle, and it was not worth it. That game is not great.
Yeah.
The Old Republic I had fun with. I think a hardcore MMO is just not my kind of game, but I get why people love it. I could see another person's list where that is in the top 5, but this is our list.
I've played it too, and like I haven't played much of it. I liked what I had played of it. I guess those kind of games just like really aren't for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. I remembered the one I was going to bring up.
Oh, what was it?
Star Wars Droid Works.
What?
I got this from like a Scholastic book fair. It was a PC game where I think you were on Tatooine, and then you were like kind of employed by the Jawas, and you just had to like build droids to solve puzzles, and it had like very, very like rudimentary lessons about how engineering works and like circuits and stuff like that. It was such a weird game, but it was like kind of educational, but I remember my computer could barely run it. But that was, again, just talking about like the breadth of all these Star Wars games that have come out since the beginning of time.
Yeah, I just looked at the Wikipedia page. It's a 1998 edutainment computer game, and the premier title from LucasArts subsidiary Lucas Learning.
Okay.
So there you go.
Huh.
I guess Lucas Learning was a thing.
Yeah. Well, Mike, let me tell you, I'm scrolling through the Google top tab of Star Wars games. There's a bunch I've played. Like, I played that Clone Wars Republic Heroes game. That I don't think that was a good game. I liked it, but I doubt it's good. Like, Super Star Wars I never played. Some of those Battlefront spin-offs I really liked, but I think Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith might be the 5th.
I think it is. Lock it down. Put it in there.
Let's do it. Star Wars Ep 3. Because, man, what other world can you see Anakin Skywalker not get burned, murder Obi-Wan, and then kill the Emperor?
That's all I ever wanted.
Yeah. Oh, and I found out as well, watching my friend Omar stream that, the voice actor for Obi-Wan was James Arnold Taylor, who does Clone Wars Obi-Wan. And the voice actor who does Anakin was the voice actor who did Anakin in the Samurai Jack style one. Like the one that was like very much in line with Hayden Christensen and his performance.
Oh. Cool. So, that's I mean, I remember it being like getting a kick out of it personally.
Yeah.
I mean.
So, there you have it. Let me run through it one more time for our full complete list.
In no particular order.
No particular order. I feel like it's clear that there are some better games than others on this list, but our 5, the Jedi Knights 5 definitive best Star Wars games. Knights of the Old Republic. Again, not in any order. Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2017. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the game.
Yep.
Excellent choices.
Great list. Great conversation too.
Yeah, that was very fun, and honestly, it just made me want to play these old Star Wars games that I haven't played in years, the ones that I haven't tried yet. Like, I know there's that like Star Wars RTS game that you can get on Steam that I know some people like, but man, I'm hungry for more.
Tell me about it.
But I think that's gonna do it.
Speaking of,
yes.
Squadrons comes out like.
Oh yeah.
Like now, like basically.
Yeah. Despite just saying I'm hungry for more, I still don't know if I'm getting it at launch. I don't know.
It comes out October 2nd, which would be Friday.
Yes. So the week this show goes up, by the end of this week, if you want Squadrons, you can get Squadrons. So maybe that's how we tie it all together. That's how we did this video game topic.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it either. I probably don't.
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm sure it's gonna be fun, but I know it's gonna be cheaper in like a month. I know it's gonna be cheaper.
Exactly.
I think that's gonna do it for this week's Jedi Knights. So, Mike, where can the listeners and viewers find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris N. Buckley. This show is available on podcast services like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Google Play, all those things. If you can rate and review the show on that platform, it'd be greatly appreciated. Just takes a second. It helps us out a ton. Helps the show find more viewers and listeners, and we can all talk about Star Wars together. This show is also available on YouTube. YouTube.com/JoyClicks is where you are if you're seeing us talk to you. JoyClicks is very close to 2,000 subs. Gotta throw that out there. So if you enjoy the show, as always, comments are appreciated. Let us know your top 5 definitive Star Wars games, because the thing is, there's so many Star Wars games that I can guarantee you somebody's top 5, it has none of the games that ours has.
Totally, yeah. And I'm sure that, like, you know, there are probably older people that Fallen Order wouldn't be on that list at all. So
yeah. So if you want to throw this out there, comment down below, and maybe we'll read them off next week. Maybe we'll see what the community thinks of Star Wars games. But,
yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested if you disagree with the list too, and you don't necessarily have one of your own.
Yeah, us Zillennials, borderline generation, looking at this Fallen Order game instead of the Kyle Katarn one. Like, what's wrong with us?
Well, I mean, like, you know, most other Zoomers, I guess, right? Or aren't we Zoomers technically?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Who knows? Most of Generation Z, I would say, probably hasn't played the Kyle Katarn game. So we're leg up, right?
Sure. I think so. I think, Mike, I think it's fair to say that, like I said before, this is the definitive list. We have we're taking into consideration everything.
Definitive Star Wars podcast. So if it's a list on the podcast, it's the definitive list.
Absolutely. But if you'd like to support the show, if you want to get more involved, $1, $2, $5 tiers over at patreon.com/joyclicks will get you a variety of benefits. $5 tier gets you producer credit on every podcast we produce, like Chris Sakas does for My First One, our Pokemon show. So thank you, Chris, and I'll let you finish your sip because we're gonna sign off. Until next time, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
Hello there. This is where the fun begins.
General Kenobi.